side Machi on the red. Start things off here with the Syndra ban as well as the obligatory Varus red side ban.
Obligatory, yes, Varus red side ban, and as well as another target ban as usual against Mission has been very, very scary when it comes to the Syndra, still having a lot of impact when it comes to the mid, and especially when Holo would decide to visit the lane, I suppose. But now Kalista being taken away from Bruce and as well as Nidalee, very similar to what we've seen in the previous matchup.
Yeah, getting the Nidalee taken away here from Holo, just trying to limit some of the aggression that can come out, because again, pair that with something with CC in the mid lane, and again, Moonblack would love to just pair that alongside Holo and then go for a roam and try and make things happen in these side lanes. And this new face, especially too for HKA in the form of Cardis, has been allowing them to actually look to push more resources into the bot side of the map, because that's the one thing they have been able to at least excel at, is having their solo lanes be self-sufficient. Cardis, we rarely actually have to see a lot of jungle pressure go up to him in the top lane, because he's usually able to hold his own against some of the best top laners in the region, and especially up here against PK. I feel like he might even have an advantage heading into this matchup.
Yeah, especially for the fact that we've seen Cardis play the counter matchup, at least when it comes to the top lane, or play something a little bit more very safe, and therefore, just as you mentioned, Holo wouldn't have to worry too much and focus a little bit more on towards Moonblack and at least bot side of the map. And now these are two strong picks that Machi has acquired, the Graves being open, which means, you know, HKA is just willing to take that Graves rather than that set.
Yeah, we might also see like the Trundle come out. Of course, that's been kind of one of the answers we have seen a couple times here, as if they want to try and power farm in that jungle similar to a Graves. But it looks like the Volibear is starting to make a couple more appearances, and pair that alongside an Ashe, the bot lane, when going up into the Ezreal of Bruce, we might see some action, and this is very much what we said. Holo can now apply a lot of focus down on toward the bot side of the map, which we would like to see also get translated into other objectives, because other than getting the kills early, we don't see HK actually control Dragon Pit too often in the early part of this game.
Yeah, they're definitely focusing more on having to punish, invade, you know, junglers that may be caught off guard, quite unexpected of HK's roam. In the meantime, though, yes, Volibear has acquired a little bit of a curse when it comes to the PCS, sitting at a 28% win rate. Twisted Fate in the meantime, though, for a Mission, I'm excited to see this, considering the fact that what we always usually say when it comes to Mission, we will feel his impact around possibly maybe the 15-minute mark onwards, but this Twisted Fate will fasten that up a little bit more.
Yeah, allows him to be a little bit more team-oriented when it comes to the playstyle. Of course, can Destiny down and toward that ball lane to try and answer any possible dives that is going to come out from Hong Kong Attitude, but still lets him kind of fall back to that split push style that we have seen him actually use a bit before, if the lanes don't necessarily go in the favor of Machi, so he can at least apply pressure elsewhere on the map. It's kind of weird. We actually feel like these two champions could have been swapped between these two laners, and it actually would have made a little bit more sense, at least when it comes to their playstyle. Let's go ahead, though, and take a look toward our second round of bans. Jay's going to be banned out, as well as the Thresh from Machi, and then top lane actually going to be the main focus here, is the Wukong and Ornn also being banned out by HKA.
Yeah, I love how Machi's still not counting that Volibear possibly could still be in the jungle, possibly still on towards Cardis, removing still the Jace off of Cardis' hands. But yeah, HKA seems to be forming a very, very standard safe draft so far. But HKA at least removing some of the very team fight heavy oriented champions out of the way, just to try and remove any sort of supplementation when it comes to the team fights later on.
I do like that Leona pickup from Machi. It kind of allows Koala in particular, to roam, but also kind of prevent some of the dive that'll come through. Try and provide some peel for Bruce in this early game. If we see a lot of aggression come out from Hong Kong Attitude, they themselves actually going to go ahead and pick up that Braum. So if they're able to land a good Q in lane, pair that with a Mystic Shot, there's some decent damage as well as CC that can come through. Actually, keep forgetting, that's kind of your Freljord bot lane as you pair that up with the Ashe. And for Karthus in the top lane, it's not going to be a super carry. It's not going to be a major carry threat. Instead, they're opting in for the Mordekaiser in top lane.
Yeah, so for HKA, this composition in general is going to be heavily reliant on how Moonblack and as well as Eminem is going to be performing in their respective lanes. And to cap it off, you know, HKA having to remove a lot of utility off of the map, and it seems to me we've got a lot of global impact skills when it comes to Machi's roster in general.
And interesting enough here, PK is actually going to be the one to lock in the Gangplank, which allows him to be a bit of a nuisance early on, but it actually kind of goes up against the playstyle that we see of Hong Kong Attitude, where Hollow will rarely visit up toward the top lane, where if you're playing Gangplank, that your biggest threat is the enemy jungle, because in most cases you're pushing up the lane, and your first 6 levels you're a pretty squishy pirate. So I'm interested to see if Hollow changes up a little bit of his playstyle and tries to visit top lane a little bit more often than we usually see.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen a lot of Gangplanks at the first 3 levels has been ganked very heavily, so I'm a little bit worried for PK, but I guess it all boils down to how much vision and information that they can take, whether or not they want to control the waves in a certain way that would make them even a little bit more safe.
Yeah, maybe we'll see if PK, if he's going to be, the Hanabi style of Gangplank, where, level 2, level 3, he gets, ganked and forced to have to use his flash, or even gets caught out himself. That's kind of been the issue we have been seeing with Gangplank, and that is pretty standard. When you pick up this champion, you are always going to be the main target for the opposing team's jungle. We'll see, though, whether or not they're going to flex that on over. We also get to see Moonblack on a Zoe, something that's a little bit more lane dominant if he's able to find himself a bubble, and maybe we don't see as much roams come out of him, or they're going to wait for some of those dragon fights to come in. Either way, it's going to be our second match of the day. Hong Kong Attitude looking to go and take down Machi to move to a 5-3 record. We'll see if that's the case as we load on into the Rift.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
And you already saw the G-Rex icons come out of HKA in the base. A little jab back to the fact that Machi actually was G-Rex at the beginning of the split, or at least a couple weeks before, until the organization had to back out and Machi picked up the slot, as well as the roster. Not sure if Skywalk encourages the BM, but, the players at least just having some fun. Speaking of Skywalk, we were able to ask him some questions during this week. Actually very good at writing in English, and hope to have him a little bit more involved and get some more insight to what he thinks HKA should be doing as the season moves along. But during our questions, I got to learn where he gets his IGN from for Skywalk. The fun fact is, one of his middle names is Skywalker. I thought that is the coolest thing. All right. You know how boring
that is the coolest middle name, yes.
Right? You know how boring my middle name is? It's just William. All right?
William. Got it.
Alexander William. All right? It's not all that impressive.
Not as cool as Skywalk, absolutely.
I'm just saying Skywalker is just insane. I don't know.
It is.
At least, and some people, they're like, oh, when you introduce yourself when you're on air everywhere, you're like, oh, I'm Alexander Opal. And they're like, oh, your middle name's Opal. It's like, no, that's my gamer name.
Gamer name.
Gamer name. Starting off, though, Jungle Pass. We're going to see both jungles actually onto their blue, so we might see some action actually from Hollow toward the bot side if Bruce and Koala try and push in. But we can see HK, they're not hesitating here, especially with that volley of the Ashe, allows her to push in waves rather easily.
Yeah, push in waves rather easily, able to land the pokes as well, without having to worry too much about the minions getting in the way, unlike Bruce's Mystic Shot. In the meantime, though, we've seen this matchup just a while ago with the Leona-Ezreal combo. I think the big difference is that it is not the Thresh, it is going to be the Braum instead. A little bit of more defensive, and as well as, yeah, a little bit of more defensive there on that bot lane.
And we've seen a little bit of a change-up, too, when it comes to HK's draft, as mid lane starting to see some action. Gemini coming on over with that smoke screen. Just going to force Moonblack to have to back off. Actually pop the Ignite, trying to get a quick kill on Domitian early on. But not what they saw. Seeing some early aggression going to begin things off here in Game 2 of our day, where That's what HKA wanted to do coming into this week. They felt like they misread the meta back in week 3 and have actually, shifted a little bit of their focus here in the draft, and we're already seeing aggression come out of Moonblack early on.
Yeah, and going over to Machi as well, we did mention earlier that for Machi, they're a little bit on the slow side when it comes to execution with their strategy. Now there's also a little bit of shift as well when it comes to creating impact, at least, and being a little bit more felt in the first 15 minutes of the game. Yeah, I'm a little bit afraid of Moonblack too, because you've got that very easy to land gold card stun from Mission, and you've got a very enough amount of damage on Gemini's side to finish off the kill, especially that collateral damage.
Yeah. Gray's follow-up, like we mentioned, if you can get something with some pretty consistent CC in the mid lane, something like a Twisted Fate, it's the pirate combo coming out, and they're able to do some decent damages. Cardis still popping the G-Rex logo. You gotta love him. This time around, we actually get to see Cardis not necessarily in a, I guess you would say, a heavily favored matchup. Instead, he's opted into something like the Mordekaiser, something like we saw with Rocky last game, where, these very dominant top laners that like to play hyper-aggressive kind of shifted back onto something that's a little bit more reliable.
A little bit more reliable, a little bit more safety, I suppose. As I guess most of the games that we've seen so far, a big shift towards, maybe towards the bottom side of the map. As I guess the theme for spring has been a lot of topside ganks and dives, and for summer, it's a little bit different.
We'll see here. Level 6 soon going to be hit for Mission. Maybe we'll start to see a little bit of action come out from this Twisted Fate with some roams. You already see PK starting to get pushed up into his tower, and some decent damage being applied by Kartis, as, this would be around the time we would see a Volibear, or we'd see a jungle make an appearance to try and punish this Gangplank pick, but unfortunately, that's just not the playstyle of Hong Kong Attitude. Hollow likes to focus more attention toward the bot side of the map, and he has been just kind of camping toward this Dragon Pit so far.
And I think it's a little bit perfect too. Actually, no, I take that back. Machi does have priority over bot side. It will be a little bit risky to take that visit, as the collapse will be much, much easier for Machi's side. And I think that will be the call. No summoner spell is being used there, as Machi has detected Hollow's attempt on the mid lane.
And you can see in this bot lane too, Bruce is just fine. He's on his Ezreal. He likes to play pretty far back, and we've seen him actually in a 1v2 scenario multiple times. And that allows Koala on this Leona to just go ahead and go for a rope. And early on, the one thing that I've not really understood about HKA is they like to mention, hey, we like to put so much bot lane pressure. We like to put Hollow over on the side with Eminem and Tak. But their Dragon take at 15 is actually horrendous. They've only taken, on average, like 1.5 Dragons at like 15 minutes. Considering you put so much pressure toward the bot side of the map, that's one thing I don't understand.
I feel like it has something to do when they come against very experienced teams. It has something to do with most likely confidence, having to wait for the necessary levels when they reach level 6 to have better chances of winning the skirmishes, or perhaps even the team fights. And I think I do see it, hoping to get a pick first before anything else, as Machi is very much used to this type of play style of playing a little bit more of the objectives and waiting for the enemy jungler to have less pressure off of that map in particular.
You even saw there in the mid lane too, Moonblack was actually able to force Mission back to base. Gonna have him burn out his Summoner spell as the teleport was swapped up with the spell book. And there you go. Machi are going to be the first ones actually to claim ourselves a Drake, but here we go. Hollow hovering toward the bot lane is spotted out by the lane ward though, so won't likely see any action here as the first Dragon's taken by Machi.
The thing about this call is that Gemini even hesitated a little bit taking the Dragon at first, having to go back, wait it out, but Hollow is spotted numerous times on that ward, and therefore have a clean way of getting through that Dragon for themselves. And yeah, just as you mentioned, Moonblack is able to scare off Mission at least, therefore picking up the Merc Treads first for a little bit of that anti-magic against Moonblack. PK, though, able to land at least a very deep vision on towards the jungle of HKA.
Yeah, they'll allow Machi here to at least track where Hollow has been pathing. With no objective on the bot side of the map, we may just see action now toward this Rift Herald that has been kind of the, you know, fallback for Hong Kong attitude if they're not able to get themselves an early play. But you see Machi already matching them.
Yeah, HKA has a lot of single target.
Oh, wow. That was very nice, actually, coming out from Koala. Gold card is going to land over the wall they go. Gemini wanted to try and find himself a kill, but now Hollow going to rejoin onto the fight. Crystal Arrow is going to land.
Wow.
In comes the Stormbringer. Bruce, though, answers back with a true shot of his own. Moonblack forced to back off and forced to flash to safety as the Mystic Shot had his name on it. And like that, Machi able to disengage. No one falls on either side.
I was going to say there's a lot of single target damage on the side of HK, specifically on the CC department with Moonblack as well, as well as the Crystal Arrow coming from Eminem. Unfortunately, that was a good wombo combo, but the damage is still not enough to finish key targets. Therefore, Machi was able to reinitiate the fight, and because a lot of the skills have been burned, a lot of the initiating skills have been burned, it was time for Machi to fight back.
Yeah, and luckily with Bruce being there, he's able to output a decent amount of damage with that True Shot Barrage that kind of forces Hong Kong Attitude to rethink whether or not they wanted to continue that dive, and at least they're able to stall things out, and this is kind of the standard playstyle that we do see from Machi. Moonblack, though, able to get himself a nice combo into the Ignite. Can he finish off the kill? No, he won't be able to, as Mission able to backtrack with that Corrupting Pod ticking.
Yeah, Moonblack has been doing very, very well against Mission, considering the fact that, again, for Gemini has been focusing a little bit more on towards the bot side, having to hope to match Hollow whenever he decides to visit. Again, look at how much vision has been invested on towards that river, but because of, you know, Mission was scared off of his lane, Hollow is able to get that Rift Herald with no contest whatsoever.
I'll give it here to Moonblack. He's been pretty much able to neutralize Mission and force him to go back into base multiple times. It kind of prevents this TF from making roams right at that level 6. We've actually yet to see him actually destiny anywhere onto the map. But at the same time, Mission hasn't really fallen behind in this lane. He's actually able to maintain a slight CS advantage over Moonblack, considering all the times he's actually been sent back to base.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been playing this extremely well, not having to give away any sort of kills, always having to survive at least whenever Moonblack decides to go do an all-in. And yeah, no destiny so far. It is due to the fact that Moonblack's constant pestering, the sleepy trouble bubble always landing on towards Mission, therefore forced to always play defensively. And I think, Moonblack is definitely doing his job right if Mission is choked into this mid lane.
I guess you're hoping that Moonblack later on during some of these key objective fights, you put down a bubble through the wall, able to pick off a squishy member of Machi. That's kind of the go-to play, but look at Machi here. Koala, always loving to roam himself, wanted to look for another play in that mid lane. Unfortunately, some decent vision coming out from Hong Kong Attitude is able to keep them safe, but for how long here? As Moonblack gets a little bit too far forward, flash into the stun, Solar Flare, and there you go, gold card as well. First blood going on to Mission, and Moonblack, even though he was able to neutralize this lane, Machi with Gemini are able to strike first and find themselves first blood onto the TF.
And the unfortunate thing is there's not a lot of vision to work with. And I feel like, HKA, a little bit lucky, I suppose, that the timing was not when a Rift Herald is available, when the Dragon was right then available. I think Moonblack will be back in time for the Dragon to spawn. That's still that's still 30 seconds more or less, as Mission is forced to go back to his own lane as well, get that reset. So still a good kill coming from Machi. Good thing still for HKA. Not a lot has been lost off of the map.
Eminem and Kill maybe looking for a play. Meanwhile, top lane, though, there
PK.
you go. Finally, we were waiting for this gangplank to be punished, and there it is, as they're going to be able to take down PK in that top lane. Moonblack at least trying to prevent bot lane from being hammered away, but Bruce has already been able to pick up 3 turret plates, so we'll see whether or not Hollow decides to use the Rift Herald here in top lane to try and equalize that out. Doesn't appear to be the case. Now he will, realizing, hey, I have a Rift Herald in my back pocket. So we'll see whether or not they're able to stop that first tower take, but let's take a look at how this panned out in top lane.
Yeah, we were talking about how vulnerable a Gangplank is, especially if he's out there very extended away from his own tower. It is going to be a very easy gank. PK not even opting to use the flash. There is literally no escape for him as he's very far out. But yes, you know, Eminem is able to at least get one plate off of the mid lane, but in exchange, Bruce is able to get full funnel off of the platings from earlier, as we saw Koala and Gemini having gained a little bit of distance away from that tower at bot.
And this is kind of a little bit of a different approach for Hong Kong Attitude. They usually like to put in more resources onto Eminem, but now you're kind of having to rely more or less on Cardis to be that kind of main carry. Moonblack hasn't been able to get himself a lead. He's actually down 1,300 gold just by the fact that you're going up against a Twisted Fate that was able to get first blood, and the fact that he has a passive that just generates gold from farming. This is a little bit of a different setup for Hong Kong Attitude, and kind of wonder now, are they going to be able to play into this style that they usually don't play with?
Yeah, I feel like that's the theme for summer. It's about expanding throughout your comfort zones, and HKA's success so far has been contributed to the fact that's a very nice bubble coming from Moonblack. Unfortunately, a little bit too far. Machi is slowly creeping towards HKA's jungle vision-wise, and I feel like that is absolutely scary for Holo. This will sort of neutralize him, being able to be easier to read for Machi to try to fight back and make the right decisions.
And you see here now we're sitting on toward our 15-minute mark where, you know, Hong Kong Attitude, they themselves have said they want to play aggressive. They think if they can play aggressive into these top teams like Machi, considering what they saw back in the mid-season showdown, they should be able to take victories here rather easily, but we just haven't seen that just yet. If anything, Machi are the ones that are looking to push into the jungle with the fact that they do have this Graves. Gemini might want to be careful. Eminem does have his Crystal Arrow available, but HK still hesitant to even pull the trigger into a choke point.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's scary that there's a TF in the opposite side to join the fight just in case HKA decides to make moves in the side lanes, maybe gank PK, maybe gank Bruce, perhaps. Moonblack forced to use the real flash. There's a Destiny.
Fortunately, Destiny's going to come back. True Shot Barrage also tagging the damage with the collateral damage. Final auto attack comes through, and there's your kill going back on over to Mission. Let's see the follow-up, though, on toward the side of Machi. As Koala gets himself back over to safety, gets brought into the death realm. Mission caught out toward the side. Gemini and co. have to get themselves over toward this Twisted Fate if they want to try and save him. It looks like, actually, HK are the ones to back off, as now that's going to force the flash out of Kartis, and it will be a 1-for-1 Moonblack for the support of Machi.
I am actually extremely surprised Mission was able to escape that manually despite so many slows, despite the Braum is already on his face, and not even having to sacrifice a flash. It all started here when Moonblack was spotted in their own jungle. Again, the place is riddled with Machi wards, and the Destiny just really helps out whether or not they're able to handle, is able to escape after getting off a kill.
Yeah, that was kind of the question here, is Koala is able to sacrifice himself to prevent Mission from going down, but the fact that you have Tack that flashes in, Hollow's also nearby, and Mission just walks away. I don't know how you let that happen if you're on the side of Hong Kong Attitude.
Yeah, I thought that would have been a very decent exchange, a mid lane for a mid lane, but it didn't happen at all. Mission actually didn't have mana as much anymore. A couple of slows landed on towards, you know, this Twisted Fate. But HKA, again, it's one of those things where they weren't exactly very confident that they decided to just retreat. In the meantime, for HKA, at least they have that Rift Herald as a consolation prize.
And at least that has been the consolation prize they have been able to at least secure in a majority of their games. We do usually see them sit around, you know, that 50 to 60% Rift Herald take rate. But my question is, we never really see them actually generate a gold lead at 15 minutes. And this is starting to look a little bit to the same, where Machi continue to just sit on this 2,000 gold lead ahead of Hong Kong Attitude.
Yeah, they're going to be sitting at a very comfortable spot to further their lead. For Machi, they've always managed to, if they manage to set the early game, get leads on towards either Mission, have a comfortable lane for Bruce, who is already growing his CS lead against Eminem exponentially as the game passes by. HKA, with the style in mind that they were hoping to get, they will have a harder time come later in the next 3 minutes, 5 minutes or so.
And can you even tell by some of the item pickups already from Machi? Machi are kind of in the mood to actually start to go for some fights. The fact that Mission actually went into his Lich Bane first rather than the Zhonya's kind of says, all right, I want some extra damage. I want to try and make some plays happen, especially now that we do have an Infernal Drake. And for Machi, they've already been able to secure the first 2 dragons of the game. So it's now up to Hong Kong Attitude to try and stall out that soul point. Destiny going to be popped by Mission, gets him within range as he's pathing over from the top side of the map. True Top Barrage intercepted by Tack, but we see now 50-50. Dragon goes in favor of Hong Kong Attitude. Solar Flare lands in onto Cardis. He's going to get blown to pieces as Mission able to find his kill. Bubble lands onto the Twisted Fate, but that is just Hong Kong Attitude trying to get themselves back to safety. Gemini flashing on over the wall. Crystal Arrow does not connect onto the Graves, but now another gold card from Mission, and Moonblack is just going to get taken down. Gemini finds the kill, and it's going to be a 2-0. At least Hong Kong Attitude are able to secure the dragon in the end.
Yeah, 2 in exchange of the dragon. Unfortunately, the waves aren't set up, so Machi is able to punish even more with the lack of members that are on the map, and they're already marching down towards that inner tower at bot side. But let's take a look at this again. HKA, first dibs on this area, able to secure the dragon. Unfortunately, if you're not able to at least get someone low, that's actually a good deny coming from Tack. But at the end of the day, Machi had that very, very good lead early and is able to collapse. So look at how much chase they have. They got the dash coming from, what do you call this? Yes, coming from the Graves, Ezreal, and everybody else.
You saw there, Bruce, a little bit of a mistake there. Ended up flashing in place instead of going on over the wall. But we noted, Machi, they're the ones that say, hey, we want to at least go for a fight, and that's now opened up a 5k gold lead. Rip Shield's going to be popped in mid, but it's not even able to take down the first tier tower, which means that Hong Kong Attitude aren't able to naturally get any vision down into the deeper parts of Machi's side of the map, with that tower still acting as that bastion for the Machi squad. On top of that, they were able to pick up 2 towers during the replay. That's opened up this lead.
Yeah, the fact that, HKA has lost so much after acquiring or stalling that Dragon Soul at least from Machi, but this gives them further away. This lets them further away from that Baron that has spawned already. So Machi definitely looking to take that one after getting a pick, which they're capable of doing so with that TF and Leona on their side.
And you're still seeing now items coming online for Machi. The Muramana's fully stacked there for Bruce. You also have Draining Force that's come online. Some nice power spikes for Machi where they're in a fine position that say, all right, HKA, if you want to continue contesting over these dragons, we're happy to fight now that we have a couple items underneath our belt.
Yeah, that 2-item spike coming from Machi. You have, just as you mentioned, Bruce, Muramana, and Triforce, Lichbane, Mission already with the Roa, and hoping to build towards Zhonya. So additional safety for the side of Mission, even having that Ghost as well for that chase potential that HK had a hard time retreating from, by the way, earlier at that dragon fight.
Yeah, having that spell book, able to swap out for the Ghosts, and Ghosts actually got a couple of buffs in the most recent patches. Get to speed immediately. So over time, you're actually covering more distance than the Flash usually would. And there you go. Machi going to go ahead, get themselves some tower damage. The fact that Mission has his Lich Bane already, if he's able to get in range of a tower with no one there to clear the wave, he will instantly start to shred these down. And HK continue to be kind of on the back foot here. Hollow's considering maybe looking for a play, but Bruce is an Ezreal, keeps himself safe, as going to still look to fish throughout the jungle. Actually, Smite comes out onto Gemini. There's your Crystal Arrow. Does not connect. Even the Stormbringer being used here by Hollow. That is a lot being exerted as the tower gets taken already by Mission in the meanwhile. And look at bot lane. PK is going to start knocking on the door of the Inhib tower.
Yeah, take note that both of these, Machi does have double teleports in their arsenal, and HKA have to be worried, have to be careful when they want to get these extended chase to get off one pick, or else some of these structures, either from the side lanes, will have to suffer.
And there you go. Machi also can go ahead and siphon some of the gold that was left in the jungle. You saw Bruce go ahead and pick up the red buff. Things are looking rather well here for Machi. HKA, they're the ones that say, hey, we want to be aggressive. We want to make plays. Well, we just haven't really seen it. And You know, I hate to, you know, start pointing fingers, but I don't know necessarily if the Zoe pick for Moonblack is kind of what they wanted to go for. He currently sits at that 0-3 scoreline, and we did mention this team kind of lives or dies by the performance of their mid.
Yeah, Moonblack, they faced off against Nova as well on that Zoe pick, and it didn't work out so well. So far, I feel like perhaps the LeBlanc or perhaps the niche picks that Moonblack has in his pool would probably have a interesting turnout when it comes to against Machi. We've seen it before, perhaps against PSG last time. For Machi, though, they have first dibs on this area already onto this Inferno, which means it'll be 1 point away towards that Dragon Soul.
And here we go. HKA, can they actually stop this? It looks like Machi have full control. You even have Bruce just poking from a distance inside the brush, as well as Mission, who's now 10 stacks onto his Roa. That's another mini kind of power spike here for the Twisted Fate, and there you go, Hong Kong attitude. They give up the third dragon of the game, and Machi now sitting towards Soul Point in the next 5 minutes.
HKA at the moment, despite having to have, you know, aggressive calls to punish Gemini for being able to be quite deep into the jungle of HKA, it still hasn't exactly sort of produced any of the other objectives off of the map, unfortunately, as base-wise, the side lanes are suffering Airco when it comes to, as Machi has been setting that up for quite some time and has been doing it consistently.
And unfortunately, there are these fights where you need Moonblack to be the one over towards side. We'll get back to that in a sec. Is Cardis able to find himself a quick kill? Solar Flare, though, is going to come out. Gold card armed and ready, going to stun him up. And with that True Shot Barrage, able to secure the kill. Koala goes back to Golden, but still not able to do much else on the side of HKA, as Hollow was looking for a flank, but unfortunately can't get into the back line.
Yeah, the same way I mentioned that Machi has a very good composition when it comes to chasing down targets. They've also have a really good comp when it comes to with that disengage, and it's very hard for Hollow to get in the thick of things just because of that. And there's so many gap closers or in the form of the either the Graves dash or maybe the Ezreal, but again, Cardis getting the solo kill is actually pretty big, as HK didn't get to suffer too much, and they slowed down Machi's collapse in this one.
And you saw there, at least from Machi, you saw what the play was. It wasn't PK just being overly aggressive. No, they wanted to go for a play a little bit late on the rotation, I guess, from Mission with the Destiny, but nonetheless, they're going to be happy. I also love this from Mission. He's going to go Rapid Fire Cannon as he has that Shiv item actually starting off, the Spark, or the, not exactly what that's called anymore, the Energized item. But allows him to actually get some longer range and able to set up more of these plays with this Twisted Fate.
Yeah, the fact that, you know, Mission has been swapping in and out when it comes to the Flash, either towards the Ghost, adds a little bit more chances to get picked off here and there, land a little bit more CC consistently, especially around chases, as HKA is always on the retreat path, as usual. For Machi, already setting up a little bit of vision here and there, and as well as the side lanes, in preparation for a potential Baron take, considering, again, HKA, their lanes had a tough round. So far, Cardis has been doing very well since the beginning on this Mordekaiser.
Well, that's kind of the thing. I don't know necessarily if the lanes themselves had a lot of trouble. We saw that M&M attack that decided not to really contest or try and punish Bruce. And this has kind of been an issue that we've seen with the Volley Bears, especially in the PCS. We've started to actually see it come online in other regions where players like to get hyper-aggressive. You want to try and dive this Ezreal a couple times and try and put him behind early so that M&M can succeed. We just saw an Ashe do very well in our previous game in the form of Golden Feet for Nova, whereas this time around, it feels like everyone kind of played their own independent game, and we've yet to see them really come together for a team fight, instead playing picks. And I'll be frank, Moonblack just hasn't been part of that, considering we've now seen 4 different instances of dragons being taken.
Yeah, Moonblack did a good job at the first 10 minutes of the game. Unfortunately, as the game progressed, you know, Gemini and Koala have constantly visited the lane and relieved pressure. Not only relieved pressure away from Mission, but also having to shut down Moonblack on the Zoe as well. So it's a 2 birds and 1 stone kind of deal. Our Mission is able to create impact later on as well with the Destiny. And yeah, now it makes things harder. If Mission was supposed to die in that engage in the jungle, in HKA's jungle with his flash not even being used just yet. Now he has a Zanya, so that's another form of safety for this TF.
And you also have a QSS now, too, for Bruce. That Ezreal is going to be very hard to kill himself as long as he's able to keep the range in between him as well as Moonblack. We do see, though, Hong Kong Attitude. You're looking at about 40 seconds right before the reset of the Dragon, where they say, all right, can we at least try and prevent the soul point? But you always have to be careful now. The amount of damage Machi has, they could easily burn down Baron.
Yeah, looking at that's 4 members with a ton of big boy damage, especially as PK will start to scale as well on this gangplank. And not only the barrels will do insane amounts of damage, Mission with a split push. Oh
That's
my,
the thing.
HKA.
Cool. You got yourselves your first tier tower, but you're going to lose out on your inhibitor turret if you're not too careful. Mission might have to be careful himself, but there you go. It already got taken down, and now we're set up for the exact same play we just saw. Mission's actually already passed toward the Dragon Pit and can join in on this fight with the Destiny. So we'll see whether or not Hong Kong Attitude can deny this. It'll be a 50-50. Destiny's going to come out. True Shot Barrage able to cut back onto Hollow as well as Eminem. A flank coming out from Koala, and joining him is Mission as they take down Moonblack instantly. Bruce finds himself the kill. Hollow pops the Stormbringer. Unfortunately, it's just not enough. A double kill for Bruce. They continue on forward. Mission with another gold card, and he's on a rampage. And HKA, sure, they get back 1 kill, but Cardis himself will also fall. Bruce on a rampage, and Infernal Soul in favor of Machi.
Yeah, Infernal point for Machi. They played that fight very, very well. And for HKA, unfortunately, the vision didn't work out so well because Mission Destiny dropped on towards that brush, and HKA had no idea where to collapse onto Mission.
And now you have to deal with the fact that this heavy poke comp that you have in the form of a Twisted Fate as well as an Ezreal can just continue to just lay in damage with the Infernal Soul. It makes it really difficult for HKA to really do much now when it comes to trying defending towers, as I feel like they'll just get chipped away. They just don't have sustain.
Yeah, we were talking about how it's already difficult for HKA to eliminate Machi's key targets, as considering the fact that they've already have started to build defensive items in the form of Azanias, Mercurials already completed for Bruce as well. And here comes the Destiny. They did not see this at all because Mission came off of that brush, despite HKA putting vision inside the jungle of Machi, and unfortunately it's that spot, and Mission caught them off guard. Cardis did try his best. I believe he manually walked to base as his teleport is still up online.
And you even saw there too, you mentioned that Zonias that he was able to pick up earlier on in the game. Well, he can easily just go ahead, pop the Zonias if he gets turned upon. We saw it when Holo decided to pick him as his target, and they're not able to do a whole lot. So with that now, Infernal Soul secured by Machi. It's a 7,000, maybe 8,000 gold lead now. Baron, next eye for Machi, and we'll see whether or not HKA can really do much. You're kind of hoping for a miracle bubble now to come out of Moonblack where he can blow up possibly Bruce or Mission, but there's just so much safety still available. You got 2 cleanses on the side of Machi on top of the QSS for Bruce as it's going to get started up.
Yeah, it's perfect timing to get to this Baron. Now they want to collapse.
Destiny's going to come out, and Mission maybe get turned upon, but we mentioned that cleanse keeps himself nice and safe. Moonblack gets taken down. There's no Zoe. There's no Trickster there, as she's now going to be taken on out. Cardis pops the Death Realm, but he can't even take down Mission at this point. Death Grass going to come out, and they continue on to the power front. That is Machi. That's a double kill coming out from Bruce as he takes down multiple members. And you can see, sure, you got the G-Rex logo being flashed, but it's 3, a triple kill for Bruce, and Machi looking for the base.
Yeah, that's a lot of death timers, and for Machi, they have a lot of abilities. They've got the power to destroy the tower right there and then.
And for Machi, they're able to cement themselves with a very dominant victory, as it seems like HKA maybe didn't show up today, as they'll be taken down here by Machi in 32 minutes, 5-13, and a quick and easy win.
Yeah, very dominating finish from the beginning, as Machi is able to choke HKA's, usual strategy of getting ahead early and hoping the snow. Koala's impact visiting the mid lane really gave Moonblack a very hard time.
Yeah, unfortunately, Moonblack, I get he has like kind of a niche champion pool. I'm trying to remember if that's the first time we've actually seen him on the Zoe. You did mention actually he did play it against Nova.
Against Nova.
And it was very similar. If Moonblack isn't able to get ahead in his lane or be on something that can help utilize the rest of the squad, HKA kind of live and die by him. And this time, unfortunately, he died in that mid lane 4 times.
Yeah, it's a little bit tough to see that 0-3-1 Zoe at the first, 20 minutes of the game. And with that said, again, you just mentioned, they live and die by Moonblack. And after that, you can see HKA slowly collapsing and just being a little bit more reactive. We see that one attempt on towards Gemini in their enemy jungle, in their own jungle. But after that, that is it.
Yeah, and I have to go back and kind of factor this to the draft because even Skywalk himself, he wants to see Hong Kong Attitude play aggressively. They want to try and make plays, and unfortunately, it just seems with that Zoe pick in the mid lane, they weren't able to do a whole lot. Sure, you're able to neutralize Mission, but we never once saw Bruce get dove in lane. We never saw Hollow visit that bot lane where they like to apply so much of their resources, like he mentioned.
Yeah, Machi did an amazing job having to neutralize Holo's impact in the first 10 minutes of the game with a lot of vision being covered, and therefore having to spot Holo constantly on where he's going to go. Therefore, Machi is able to tell whether or not, their lane is going to be in danger. And again, it's so hard because, that's going to be a twisted fate. If you try to gank that lane, it might be a potential, 4v5 situation, 4v3 situation in the bottom side of the map.
Well, that's kind of the thing too. We didn't even get to see Hollow try and make many appearances toward the mid lane either. I have to say, Hollow kind of let me down on this volley bearer. We didn't really get to see him pay much attention to any lanes. He actually went to top, which we mentioned, HK, they usually never gank top lane. And even though there was a gangplank at top, we only visited once. I only saw one true lane gank coming out of Hollow. The rest, he got spotted out by good vision from Machi, and it really shut him down.
Yeah, and we've already seen 1 or 2 times on how a Mordekaiser can just actually also snowball out of control. It was, Ozzy back in Rajaya Dragons, and I thought that would be the plan, especially, PK, just as you mentioned, isn't at all being relieved pressure by Gemini in most of his matches, and therefore it could be a lane that perhaps that they could have taken advantage of.
So with that, Machi are going to be able to take home the victory, only giving up the 2 towers as well as the 5 kills. So not half bad here. Maybe you want to work on that Rift Herald control. We did mention that HK were able to at least secure both of those, but nonetheless, MVP going to go on over to Koala with his pretty good Leona flanks as well as on-point solar flares.
Yeah, a lot of aggressive and max range Zenith plays, having to connect and start the fight. And yeah, a job well done coming from Koala on this Leonas. The Leonas in this game today have been absolutely scary, I suppose.
Yeah, Koala, again, one of our more heavy roamer supports, is able to lock down his main targets. So nonetheless, like we mentioned, congratulations on to Machi. Of course, they have no more games to play, similar to HK, so they'll be able to take a little break for the rest of the night and look forward toward their matches tomorrow. And at least for Hong Kong Attitude, you can always kind of think back to what could have been. But for now, we're going to go ahead and have an interview with Patty alongside her MVP.
Machi 对上前3的队伍都有取得胜利，但是你觉得，不好意思，更正一下，对上前3的队伍没有取得到胜场，那你觉得目前的关键是什么？
So up until this point, Machi Esports did not win over the top 3 teams of the region. So what do you think is the problem here?
And I do apologize. It looks like we have a slight mic issue with Patty and Koala, so hopefully we'll get that sorted out here. And I'll hopefully try and get a little bit of the translation sent to me a little bit later on.
So I think because us players personally did not play
until
well
then, we will be just coming back to our
stuff, so
English
that's
desk.
why we lost in the first round.
Oh, there we go.
那接下来下一个问题，以全球流资源的角色来讲，在 PCS 其实家里游受到青睐的程度比匿名高很多。那你们算是少数敢使用匿名的队伍，你觉得你们在这两个角色取舍上面有什么差别？又或是你们相比于其他队伍，你们有什么更好的地方？
So your mid laner mission seems to favor Twisted Fate over Galio, even though both champions are similar in that they're both global and supporting champions. So why is that?
因为我们觉得就是立命比家里有强，然后在没有组合的情况下，我觉得立命还是比较强的。
So I think that Twisted Fate is just stronger, a stronger champion than Galio. And when you use Galio, you need like another champion to pair up with it. But then singularly, I think Twisted Fate is stronger.
好，那也感谢 Kola 接受我们的采访，恭喜你们在第一轮打完之后是占据第3名的位置。
好，那这个访问结束，可以看得出来他们在。
Oh, there you heard. A little bit at least of the interview there. We'll hopefully get a little bit more update for you guys over on the socials, which you guys can follow if you guys want to keep up with the English coverage when it comes to the PCS, whether that be here on Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook. You guys can also go ahead and check out the English Twitter, LOL Esports PCS, that keeps you guys up to date, as well as giving you some extra little side content when it comes to the league. But for now, we still have more matches to play out. 4 more, actually. Our next match is going to be Nova taking on Alpha. We'll see whether or not Nova can continue their win streak, at least for their first day here of Week 4, as they were able to take down Berjaya Dragons earlier on in the day, as well as now Alpha kind of sit between them in that perfect start to your Week 4.
Yeah, I feel like they can do it again. Remember that week where, Nova won Liab, and then after that they won HKA again. So I think the first game is very important.
Well, we're going to go ahead and take that short break. When we come back, Nova taking on Alpha.
CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 260 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.